Just it was like 60. It was like 68. That's all. Like 68 Get a break. It was like
I mean, if the projector wants to not.
It's not how it works.
A real one does say very question.
I didn't know what it was.
What do you think they made on that? I didn't know.
Alright guys, take attendance real quick. Justin.
Here.
Maria. Kayla. Chloe.
Here.
Abby. Abby not here? No.
Nope.
Oh, not there. Auburn.
Here.
Logan. Here. Anna. Gavin. Here. Tyler. Here. Julia.
Yep.
Jared. Here. Mackenzie. Destiny. Riley. Jacob. Steven. Austin. Elijah. Jillian. Hector. Jalen. Patrick. Jacob.
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah.
And then Jacob.
Here.
Alright. All good. Alright guys. So today we're going to finish up with the last group with their activity, which is a Kahoot. And then we're moving on with group 7, which is our last group. The game plan for today: finish group 7, get theirs done, and then we're going to take the quiz over chapter 8. Okay? Take the quiz, and then move on to the next chapter, which is chapter 9, moving on to westward expansion, kind of manifest destiny. Okay? Bell ringer for today: what runs but never walks, often murmurs but never talks, has a bed but never sleeps, has a mouth but never eats.
A river.
What'd you say?
A river.
A river. Answer is a river.
It flows. It flows.
It's always
We don't talk
running
about
down.
Your refrigerator.
I actually figured y'all would be talking more about murmurs, like a babbling brook.
That just reminds me of that iCarly.
A
They
babbling
make that
brook.
one teacher.
Murmurs. What you mean?
Riverbed.
You're over all that.
Cat's mouth.
Alright, listen up. Again, finish with group 7 or group 6. Do their Kahoot. move on to group 7, and then take the quiz. And hopefully we have time at the end to start Manifest Destiny. If not, we will, I'll get you guys the materials at least. Alright? So group 6, go ahead, I'll let you finish your activity real quick, and then we'll move forward. Alright? Good?
You gotta like record us like one of your class things or something?
What?
You like
Yeah, I have to, record myself teaching so I can be assessed on it. That's like this class. Haha.
We're like, let's say your class, like at school.
Sorry, not. Great class. Now,
Class extra, probably work.
That is.
I didn't feel like having to stop for lunch and everything.
You know that behind the kids,
So,
that's in your next class?
Yeah.
He dropped,
Flashlight?
yeah, he dropped his talking knife in a urinal to like, last class.
You know, that's like Kobe and Jack.
I don't like wearing them.
We're allowed to have them.
Alright, so go ahead and join the Kahoot.
I mean,
No.
Make sure your names are appropriate.
Oh.
No.
Wow, so. Every time.
Okay.
Jill. Jill.
We got both of there. Alright, we give you about 10 more seconds to join. If you're not joining, we're moving on. Go. I'm about gonna wait 5 minutes for you guys to get your name up
He'll do it, Jill.
No. Did you say Bill Bill? No, I hate that. People say
I still.
We should have more than 10 players. What's going on? Not loading?
You got one?
Disconnect your VPN.
Alright, about 10 more seconds are going on. Box. I like that one.
Mine ain't gonna work.
Huh? Good? Alright, moving on. If it didn't load, just kind of goes along and answer in your head, alright? 9 questions.
Yeah, turn it on, dude. The music's lit.
And then Mott. Who are the 2 main advocates for Seneca Falls Convention? It was Stanton and Mott. Alright. Ninja. Where did the World Anti-Slavery Convention take place? Paris, London, Berlin, or Moscow? It was London.
How am I?
Ninja. How many participants signed the Declaration of Sentiments? 50, 100, 500, the entire world population. $100. Ninja.
I'm behind man.
When was the Seneca Falls Convention held? 1991, 1867, 1800, or 1848?
It sounds better.
It was in 1848. How are many slaves treated? With cruelty, better than white folks, slavery never existed, or some were treated well? With cruelty. Also, some were treated well.
Trick question.
Trick question. Ninja. Most Southerners were slaveholders. True or false? False.
Only 1/4 taken.
Ninja. All sexes and ages of African Americans were slaves. True, false, just the babies.
This Jerry's supposed to. I didn't know so much.
True. Ninja. All slaves worked as field hands. True or false? False. Did you have one bit of happiness while doing this? No deduction. Absolutely. All of the coots are inferior. Meh. Not really. It was the worst one I've ever done. It should be deleted.
Jerry. I'm sorry to have that.
Man, what's the problem? Alright, I believe that concludes it. Winner is Ninja. Alright. Group 7, Bradley, Butler, Sullivan, and Skaggs, you are up. Go ahead and get prepped.
Skaggs in here, Doug.
Now? I think he is.
Hey, we might, juniors might be called out here sometime, maybe this period for scheduling.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, when we get the, EOC for May.
Alright, Group 6, come and see me. Good? Any questions? No, there's some very good areas.
There's a what?
Are you going on a Monday?
Last day school. Oh, no.
The original last day was April.
My mind is mine.
Yeah, a lot.
What's your
Whatever that heat.
Alright, guys, listen up.
Yeah.
Expectations. Again, you are to be quiet while they are presenting unless you're asked a question or you have a question. Everyone is expected to take notes. Alright? No sleeping, no one's head should be on the table, everyone should be paying attention. Attention and engaging. Alright? Where's y'all?
We did the anti-slavery and abolition movement.
The anti-slavery movement. In 1860, there were an estimated 215,000 free blacks. Free blacks were previously enslaved African Americans who had been emancipated or freed, still faced harsh legal and social discrimination, aided in anti-slavery by helping others escape their slaveholders, and spoke out for freedom. Between 1776 and 1860, around 200 slave uprisings and plots occurred. An uprising led by Nat Turner in 1830 became the deadliest slave revolt in American history.
Bless you.
Alright. Big Williams. I have a question. Was it just men that are freed or emancipated, or was it, men, children as well, or men, women, and children as well?
Men, but so there are programs in the United States that they got the underground railroads, just like we were talking about.
Okay.
Nat Turner's uprising. In 1830, Turner and 5 of his accomplices killed Turner's slave owner and his family. Then they marched through Southampton County, Virginia, gaining around 75 followers and killing dozens more white people. A local militia captured the rebels and killed 20 of them, including Turner himself. Other whites killed about 100 other slaves suspected and sympathizing with the cause. Turner set off a wave of oppressive legislation prohibiting the education movement and assembly of slaves and stiffening pro-slavery, anti-abolishment, abolitionist conviction that persisted in that region until the Civil War.
Question. So you're saying that other white people, even if they weren't directly affected by the slave revolt, just killed slaves if they thought to sympathize with the revolt? So basically, if the slave was like, oh, maybe we should also think about doing this, they just killed him outright.
If you're suspected of being involved with it, they already like killed you. I mean, they killed over 100 of them.
Man.
It's kind of like during the witch trials with when you, if you were just suspected of, you already had it.
Nice. Cool. Not nice.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. Everybody good? Next.
Picture of the horrid massacre in Virginia.
Could you explain a little bit more about it? Like what's happening?
This is Nat Turner and some of his houses killing his family and his slave owner.
Would you say that the role is kind of reversed with the man number two? Whereas usually it's the white people who are oppressing the African Americans and such, but here it's kind of reversed where it shows the African Americans kind of brutally killing him and such like that. And then you show that women and children weren't spared with number one. Number three is about the only one you have that's actually fighting back, right? Who's the person that's behind number three? Are they significant? Or do you know?
At least I can't see it from here.
It just looks like to be a woman who's kind of hiding behind number three, right? Kind of looks like she's carrying a child, which that little circle is.
This little thing?
Yeah, the little circle right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And so here I think it really shows kind of the roles being reversed, right? Whereas instead of it's white oppression upon the African Americans, it's African Americans brutally getting revenge, if you will. Right?
Yep.
Any other questions? Good.
Escape. Some slaves escaped in nonviolent ways towards the northern free states, Canada, and Mexico. Perhaps 40,000 more of them escaped by 1860, but it's unknown. The Underground Railroad is, or it was, a constant changing network of escape routes that it developed and had no formal organization. Sympathetic white people and free slaves provided food, hiding places, and directions to their next destination. Everybody knows about Harriet Tubman. She was the most famous worker on the Underground Railroad, and she had escaped slavery and helped many others along their journey.
So why Canada and Mexico?
They didn't. That's like the difference. It wasn't as prevalent as it was in the US.
It was free states, Canada, and Mexico was illegal, slavery was illegal.
Everybody okay?
Good?
The next slide is, just a picture of some of the paths of John Railroad.
So what region would you say was most heavily utilized in the Underground Railroad?
Around it.
What term was like used in the past, like for the French and Indian?
The, valley. Ohio Valley.
Ohio Valley, right? Is there a significance why that was more used? Maybe just this location of it, or? There's no safe answer, I was just wondering if you see anything.
Alrighty, the abolition movement. The abolition movement was a campaign from the 1830s to 1870 that hoped to abolish or end slavery. Abolitionists were supporters of the abolition movement, and this was one of the largest movements of the Reform era of the 1830s, 40s, and 50s. And the abolition movement attracted many followers and attention. Especially from women, just they felt like if they helped within the anti-slavery movement, they would get attention on the gender equality.
You say that it was one of the largest movements, in the Reform era. Why was it though? Why was it so effective?
Like got a lot of people involved. I mean, there was a big uproar between like two completely different places.
So what did it spark within the people to want to join?
That's when I saw how harshly people were being treated, and I realized that equality is something that everybody values.
Is it something that everyone values though? Is that more, again, going back to that term sectionalism?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, people in the South who owned slaves believed in their own equality, but they didn't believe in black equality. But towards the North, it's where there's a lot of support.
Good?
Alright, religious roots. The abolition movement had deep roots in religion. In the colonial period, Quakers commanded slavery as immoral. Embry, the son of the Quakers minister, published as the first newspaper in the country devoted to abolitionists, caused one called the he proclaimed freedom in the inalienable right of all men. Many religious people in North saw slavery as a clear moral wrong, and many joined societies to campaign against slavery. Revolting presentation.
I had a question for you. So you're kind of talking about the Quakers as a religious movement to, a religious root that helped the abolitionist movement itself, but what about the Second Great Awakening? Did that have any effect? Because at the same time, you have that revivalism coming back and kind of sparked the Reform era. I was wondering if that had any impact on it.
You're asking the wrong person.
Can any of you tell me?
About how, the religion within the anti-slavery movement affected the Great Awakening, the second one?
Whether it was reversed, whether the Great Awakening, because the Great Awakening sparked the Reform era, and I was wondering if the Great Awakening had an impact upon the abolitionist movement.
That people felt more strongly, or felt more tied to the religious views, and they were starting to discover religion and dive into it deeper, so whether they believed it was a moral wrong, or they even used the Bible to support slavery, they used those views and put it in their opinions of slavery.
Okay.
I'll consider that.
Yeah,
So, what you're saying is, if I heard you correctly, is that the Bible was used both in defense and against it. Okay. Got it?
Alright, William Lloyd Garrison. He was an outspoken Philadelphia journalist who joined the abolition movement in 1828. Unlike many others who preferred a gradual decline in slavery, Garrison demanded that it was abolished immediately. In 1831 in Boston, he began a newspaper called The Liberator that published for 35 years until slavery was abolished. In 1833, founded the American Anti-Slavery Society. By 1840, it had 150,000 to 200,000 members.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Alright, so you said that, many others preferred the gradual decline of slavery, however, Garrison demanded that be abolished immediately. I was wondering if you knew that, if that caused any, dissent within the northern population. You had some that wanted to, gradually decrease it versus just,
Well, I think they wouldn't have cared if it was going to immediately.
well, if you think about it though, I might cover it later on. I'll wait.
Well, that's good.
I'll wait.
alright. Anybody wait a minute?
Wait a minute, might be good. We shall see. Good?
Leading abolitionists, women played a significant role in the abolition campaign. Sarah and the daughter of a plantation owner, were outspoken campaigners for abolition, were disproved of a society, so they moved to the North fought for slavery and women's rights. Frederick Douglass, a featured speaker at the Seneca Falls in Virginia, who supported women's rights, but who is best known as a abolitionist leader. Born into slavery in Maryland, escaped at age 20. In 1845, he published a narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. Went on the Polish and abolition newspaper in New York.
How you say the woman's last name? Grimke.
Come on now, Mr. Nick.
Figure y'all need to know. Yeah, that's them. Also, you said that Douglas was born in slavery in Maryland, so that means that there's slavery in the North as well, right? So it wasn't just purely located in the South, as sometimes when you're led to believe, right?
It's not all cut and dry.
Good?
Opposition to abolition, the majority of white Southerners did not own slaves. To the minority who did, the abolition movement was an outrage, viewed it as an attack on their livelihood, their way of life, and their own religion. Southern ministers constructed arguments attempting to justify slavery and discipline, and politicians argued it was essential to the cotton industry and its economy. By 1860, cotton accounted for about 55% of the country's export.
kind of going off the last question that I asked, talking about the difference between gradual decline versus cutting it cold turkey and all. You said there's no difference because as long as it ended. But looking at this, you said that cotton accounted for 55% of the country's exports, which means it's a revenue income, right? And so would some Northerners, do you say that some Northerners would kind of see that as possibly hurting the dairy economy as well? Maybe that's why they want the gradual decrease of it versus taking kind of the high road with the morals and cutting it, well, there can just stop it immediately.
I mean, that's good design for yourself.
So what you're saying was that that there was a dissent between the two because some
Maybe they
did.
were mad because they did not work, they wanted to make money out of it, so. Yeah, it can be fine instead of going away right there.
They had to find a way to make their economy not completely default.
Well, the thing about the types of economy, the North is based off of what? Industry, right? Like textiles, and then the South is more agricultural. However, over half of the country's exports are cotton, right? And so I guess kind of the point I was trying to allude to is that there was a difference between people who wanted to cut it gradually versus immediately, because it probably would have such a significant impact upon the economy, right? Like, I think everyone, hindsight 2020, with our perspective, can agree slavery was awful, should never happen. But part as a historian is being able to put yourself in their shoes and realizing that it was a big pillar of America's economy. And so, yes, it was built upon the backs of the African Americans and such, but it was a way to keep our economy going, right? Awful truth. That was kind of necessary, like a necessary evil.
They were around in the same economy, eventually.
Everybody got it? Yep. Alright.
Many across the country, the South argument was about there was support and tolerance for slavery in the North due to free slaves needing more competition for jobs. Still, the pressure to abolish slavery was low.
That's perfect, Robert. I don't know.
You work with the vein. Yeah, like that.
I think that they can do it. I read his book.
I have not. You good?
Yeah.
So could that also contribute to the, could that also contribute to the want for the North people to gradually decrease slavery, just because if they cut it cold turkey, then there'd be a flux of African Americans in the North who could possibly take their own jobs. It seems a lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, that morally the North admits, for the most part, majority, that slavery is awful. However, to continue America's economy and to make sure that themselves have their have a job, it's kind of like we admit that it's bad, but maybe need to kind of keep it going for a little bit longer to ensure that we have a job ourselves.
They're a selfish sort of stuff, or at least looking out for themselves.
Okay.
It's kind of almost what's going on today, at least with immigration issues.
How so?
I mean, you've got people on the side saying, hey, all these people are taking our jobs, and others are supporting them coming into the country because they say, well, they need them.
Okay. And so kind of a parallel to back then to today, maybe possibly we realize that America is a great country and that everyone should come here, and but we don't like them taking our own jobs and such, so maybe that's why they want to stick with the legal process of getting them here so we can have them count, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Good now. Everybody got it? Good?
And that,
And that's it?
got assessment questions, I'll just pass those around, and you can use your notes and your book for the answers.
I'm not gonna do that.
You
You were young, you were young. And then you started getting, you started getting. Hold on, here's my question. What's amusing about that? It's like when you listen to music and you put your mouth to your
Yeah, or whenever I'm college, maybe I could do a TikTok. And that like boggles my system. So, well,
I didn't know that you used to that way. No, I'm not gonna ask you, she would ask you.
stop. I didn't know.
Yeah, do you have to do your own? No, you don't have to do your own, do you?
Oh, that's a little trail.
Oh, okay.
Those are railroads. Now, one time, we told me that friends were running through each other with all the trails were connected.
You never use the light of bridges.
We really saw it.
Yeah, sure. I did do that. I did do that.
I'll give you what's stuff. Great. Yeah, when it cracks.
Did you say red? Did you just go rip?
Oh, I cleared my throat, say
Oh,
great.
I thought you said rip. I'm gonna tell you what you grabbed.
No, my voice cracked. I can't be 6'4" with a beard and have my voice cracked.
That's why you just go around and you're like, you know, what you're doing.
That's a
Oh, yes,
self-exposure.
you can.
You can't have a
I
goat.
bet you can yodel too, can't you?
His voice cracked.
I bet you can
I
yodel.
laugh at this guy.
Heck, you can yodel.
I didn't know.
Yeah, yodel?
Yeah.
No.
Shot.
If you got activity, you should be good.
No. He said, you do.
Front yard, stuff like that. Was it a list?
Got it happening.
I done one before fire here, I'm trying to get mine done. Get the fire.
That's on the part right now.
Big shack.
Yeah.
You gotta tell him.
I don't even know what he's saying, and I just
I
actually.
sold every one of them, so the one I'm building right now, and that's gonna be.
You guys have about 3 more minutes to finish this. Alright?
Blow the first one, hook it to the slave.
I like the remix. I like the remix when it starts going. Like it's something.
Person jumps out of the good house.
Oh,
It's
it's
a
a
grass.
grass.
I never heard that song.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's seen it.
Yeah.
You seen the one where that one girl was doing part of the guy?
Wait through the lines,
It was
get them all the
remix.
scales and stuff.
No, man, you gotta. I gotta show it to you after class.
It takes forever, and finally got hooked to the sled.
Huh?
About halfway on the track, like smoke started coming out of the crankcase like that.
No, that's gonna go like
Oh, no.
Go
Yeah.
over park it a little bit, let it cool down. You get 2 hooks. The second time I opened her up, and got about halfway into there, the motor started winding down. But like what ball is it? Right around it, kept getting tight. And then it was like, I had the floor was on like, 1,500.
False.
Stop right there, but it's still running.
You wanna go
And I had to put, I had to.
I think it is.
Wide open. Pull the draw into the
Or at zero.
Locked up.
Probably looks good.
No garage down.
She do you?
Almost. On the driveway.
SpongeBob was a great.
And
You know, like SpongeBob.
I got off of it. I don't know.
he was
When we found it, that was
I guess a call for it, I guess.
You know what for lunch?
I think it says spaghetti.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, it says all you.
Yeah, it's like all you.
I wanna say all you need
Dude,
to.
I seen the greatest. Hey, thank you.
But it ain't all you.
Okay, it's all about quantity over
I seen the
quality.
greatest video yesterday.
You give me like a filet mignon that big, it's gonna taste phenomenal. I'm also gonna be hungry afterward.
That is true.
And
So-
a big pile of crap in that small. And then it goes, it was
I would
magic
rather
on
have
there.
it.
I mean, you went to the Chinese buffet in Colombia, it's pretty much a big pile of crap.
Would
Like,
you
what
have
is it?
Vegemite?
Yeah.
Did you what? No, it's not all.
Yeah, the
Sounds like
steak.
they answered that.
It's like
It
black.
said like the wing sauce is filet mignon, so I thought it was wrong. when they told me.
What's
So
this?
I said, it says
I mean,
filet
I'm all for
mignon,
trying it.
so,
Or you
if I
could
don't
season
think
it
it's-
I'm
Oh,
just-
that's embarrassing, I didn't
I can do
do
that.
class.
What's that? It's not
Because it's gonna
Veggie what? Vegemite? That sounds like a, sounds like a religious food. Alright, Kevin.
Yes.
I'll let you know. Alright, guys, listen up.
Took it all the way down there, metal from like 3 coats, clear coat, 3 coats. Been like 100.
Number one, who founded the American Anti-Slavery Society, and how was their approach to abolition different from the earlier abolitionists?
Frederick Douglass.
Anybody?
Actually,
It was, William Lloyd Garrison.
How was that?
That was in your notes, if you took them. Don't know if you did or not. How is his approach to abolition different from that of earlier abolitionists? He preferred the immediate change in slavery. Number two, describe the revolt of Nat Turner, and what words do you think would best describe the passage of the Underground Railroad?
Justified violence. Justified violence. First part of the question.
Yeah. What did he do though?
Wow, you know, he was a slave owner and family,
What happened after that?
and some of his buddies, you know, and his buddies just started rebelling, you know.
Yeah. And then, local militia captured and killed about 20 of them.
Including that.
Uh-huh, that is true.
and then 100 of them killed.
Mhm.
For suspicion.
Yes. And this set off a wave of progressive legislation prohibiting the education, movement, and assembly of slaves. And it's stiffened pro-slavery. What words do you think would best describe the passage on the Underground Railroad? How do you think it was? Go through it.
You're on train underground. Good job.
That is not.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Do you think it's hard to get from one place to the other?
I'd say it's pretty good. On a train all day. Probably can only travel at night, you know, very
Cautiously.
and you have to, you know, travel across, or, I guess, yeah, across both countries. That'd be pretty fun.
What role did women play in the abolition of slavery? Somebody else besides Justin.
They wanted to help abolish slavery so that they could work on gender equality.
That is good.
Yeah.
Can anybody, give me the names of the two women that were campaigners for abolition. They were the daughters of the plantation owner. So you know, it's. Anybody. Sarah and Jean Lindsay. True or false? All African Americans in the South were held as slaves.
False.
Yes. That is false. Some of them escaped, and there were 3 blacks. True or false? Between 1776 and 1860, about 200 slave uprisings occurred in the U.S.
False.
True. And last one, true or false? Harriet Tubman was an enslaved African American who made little impact on the lives of other slaves. False. She escaped slavery.
Alright, go ahead and post those papers up to the front. Group 7, come and see me real quick.
Number 3.
I bet.
They wanted to abolish slavery so they could work on gender equality.
It's still gonna be rough. No, it couldn't.
Wonder what like kind of stage
So
that would
they
be
could-
ASP for clicking a pin.
Yeah.
Good? Any questions?
Work on
$105.
gender
Oh,
equality.
Zero.
Alright, let's take it.
Alright guys, time for a quiz. For this quiz, you'll be required to write in pen. Pen. If you do not have a pen, I have plenty of pens on my desk.
you pray people cheat.
What?
Oh, we gonna grade them more.
Yeah, you're grading them yourselves. Ready, y'all go sheet.
Hey. I always got white out in my bag.
Always got phone.
Have to carry it a pop well to go see that school.
Make sure you have a pen. That is a requirement.
Look at mine.
A pen.
Looks like you got one. Okay. There's just so many questions. What if showed up, you just looked over
Alright, listen up. You are writing in a pen for 2 reasons. 1, we are grading it immediately after, and you are grading yourself, so I will see if you cheated or not.
Oh man.
2, for this quiz, it is an open notes quiz. If you take notes, you can use them. Alright? Good man.
Be sure you get the answer before you go through that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you answer it, you really want to change it, just scribble it out and circle it right. Yeah.
Oh, we got you there.
Ooh.
I'm gonna scribble all mine out and be like, oh no, I changed that.
No.
How would you ever know?
Grade it.
Oh, if we need to change something, we have to show Nayland.
There we go. I like that. If you have to change something, show me. Alright?
Why'd I say
Like,
that?
just raise your hand and I'll come over. Good?
Why'd I say that?
I don't know.
Why did
That way I know that you're changing it whenever I'm grading.
Kill me now.
Either way. Alright, listen up. Do not look at other people's notes. If I see your eyes moving around and glancing, I will take your paper, you will receive a 0. There's really no way to cheat on this. Besides just look at someone else because you didn't take notes. It's open notes quiz, guys. Kind of initiative that you guys need to be taking notes when we're doing presentations, correct?
Yeah.
There are 20 questions, 17 multiple choice, 3 true or false. Good? Addy.
Time to stay up.
You are the reason to work. You agree that we had
We're about $1,000 apart.
Quizzes are out, no more talking. When you're finished with it, just hold on to it. You guys have like 7 more minutes.
11, like, you just want to circle one of them, or you circle three of them?
Just one. Oh, 5 more minutes. Couple more minutes. Another minute. down, pens down. If you did not answer one, go ahead and mark that wrong. So you can't just fill in the answer as we go along. Alright? Trusting y'all to be truthful here. Okay? That's 0. That's unfortunate. Alright. So as we go along, if we get it wrong, just mark through the number and circle the correct one. Alright. Number 1, where is the burned over district? New York. Remember, it's western and central New York. What was preached in the Second Great Awakening? A. People's destiny lay in their own hands and urged to live well and work hard. 3. What was the movement against alcohol in the 1820s?
It's C.
C. The temperance movement.
That's not for another 100 years, I guess. Good on it.
Barger. Sir.
I'll go for it.
Good. Alright, number 4. Which of the following was not attributed to Horace Mann in the Education Reformation?
B.
D. He did not write the eclectic books. That was McGuffey. Five. Which of the following is not attributed to Dorothea Dix? B. She did not write the Book of Civil Disobedience.
I would've got that one right if I would've known the not part. Did you say 4 was D?
Yeah, 4 is D.
4 was D?
D.
Oh, no,
I
alright,
thought I did
but I
good on
counted
this
it wrong.
one.
I counted it wrong, but it was right.
What?
I counted it wrong, but it was right.
Alright, 6. What is transcendentalism? A. The belief that knowledge is found through observation, reason, intuition, and personal spiritual experiences.
Isn't that like stuff like Abraham Maslow? Is it he like the hierarchy of needs?
He did, but that's not really correlating to this one. No.
D.
Alright, 7. Who wrote the book Civil Disobedience that would later inspire people such as Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
A. Henry David Thoreau. Alright, 8. Which utopian society was the only one that was successful? C. The Shaker settlements. Remember, there's still one going on today in Maine. Just one, though.
I got 85.
Alright, 9. What was a staple crop in Ireland that caused people to face starvation due to 4 years of bad harvest? Taters. This is my staple. Goes down. Right? They're phenomenal. Alright. 10. Which of the following is not a reason that the Germans left their country? D. Potato crop failure and starvation. That's Ireland. Alright, which of the following is an example of a pull factor to bring people to a particular country? A.
All those.
All the other three are negative things. Remember, Germany left because of religious persecution, job scarcity, and then Ireland left for starvation. However, the Germans came to America because there's free or cheap land.
All the other ones are push factors.
What?
All the other ones are push factors.
All the other ones are push factors. Remember, push is to make them leave a country, pull is to bring them to a country. Right? Alright. 12. Which of the following is not a reason for the Irish to be treated so harshly? D. They had better work experience in factories than Americans did.
On number 11, I thought like religious, like persecution, like you want to go like do your own like religion or whatever. That'd be like a reason why you want to go to like a different country.
So you want to go to a country that has religious persecution?
Well, I mean, if persecution means like you want like you're like you can do it. Like you want to.
No, persecution is like, I'm going to make laws that go against you because you're Catholic. Yeah.
You want to follow your.
Alright, where we at? 13?
Yes,
What was the Panic of 1837? B. Economic crisis that left as many as a third of Americans out of a job. 14. What is the cult of domesticity? A. It was a movement to urge women to remain in the home environment. (15) Who established the Hartford Female Institute, Western Female Institute, and created normal schools to send women to teach on the frontier? B. Catherine Beecher. Where are normal schools?
Schools teach the teachers.
Schools to teach your teachers. What was the example I gave you guys? Austin P. Founded as a normal school. 16. Which of the following movements were women not involved in? D. Foreign Policies Movement. That was the only one that we never discussed. That's all. 17. Where and when was the Seneca Falls Convention? July 1848 in New York. At Seneca Falls, New York.
1848.
It was a 18. True or false? Many treated slaves relatively well, but it was to secure loyal service. True. 19. True or false? A transcendentalist movement led many Northerners to believe that slavery should be ended.
True. False.
False. There was the Second Great Awakening movement. 20. True or false? Southerners saw the abolition movement as an attack on their economy and way of life.
True.
True. Alright. So each one counts as 2 points. What I want you guys to do is to take the number you had right, times by 2, and put that over 40. If you have any questions over that, just ask them. So if you say you got 3 right, times 2, 6 over 40.
You didn't know you got right, times
2. Yes. Well, unless you got a lot of them right, then just take the numbers you got missed and then deduct it from 40. So like if you missed 1, it'd be 38 on 40. Alright guys, so tell me, how did you do? I'll tell you a little personal policy. Whenever I take a quiz or a test, I always feel like I did horrible. That way there's always room for improvement. Like, oh, I feel like I failed that. I made 72. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought I did.
Thank God I got
But you did it? Alright, listen up, listen up. 13 times 2. Did you make it 13, right? 13 times 2 is 26. Yep.
Yes.
I haven't done that, I haven't done math in like forever. It was like last semester.
Alright, listen up. How did you guys do? Was there anything on the quiz that we did not cover?
Mine was,
Foreign policy movement.
Yeah, we didn't cover that one. That's why I was answering. There was no foreign policy movement. That's like, guys, there's certain, listen up. There are certain test taking skills that you guys should kind of have by now. If you see something and you realize that we've never even talked about it, that's obviously not an answer unless it's asking what it's not. Then that would be the answer, right? A dose of Oreos. That is never the answer. I had a student say a dose of Oreos is always the answer, and I marked them wrong and said not this time.
we mean it's never, if somebody asked me if I wanted double stuffed Oreos.
If you want a dose of Oreo, the answer is yes.
Okay, then
But the
which
test
one?
question is not always the answer. Alright? So here's my thing, guys, listen up. Moving forward, if you did not do well in the test, that tells me that actually just tells you one thing. You didn't take any notes.
That's right, I'll admit it.
Right? You didn't take any notes. Here's the reason why I did this. Listen up. Here's the reason I did this. Wherever I am lecturing you guys, I realize that a lot of you guys are taking notes, but there's some of you guys that do not take notes, or you're not taking adequate notes. Right? I told you guys every single day the expectations for you guys to take notes. If I ask a question, to write down the answer, because you probably need to know it. Right? So it's not like you guys are like, oh, I didn't know we had to take notes. No, I've told you before every single presentation that you guys need to be taking notes. Right?
That's right.
And so moving forward, you guys need to take notes. Not only do you need to take notes, you also have to review them. That's another thing. I see you guys are taking notes, but I don't know if you guys are reviewing the notes. This history class cannot end once you step out that door. You have to revisit stuff. I told you guys a story about my chemistry class. I had a C in there that I actually studied, made a 98 on the midterm. You have to study. You have to look at this material. I told you guys when I first got here that I'm not going to give you guys pop quizzes, correct? Have I give you guys a pop quiz yet? No, you guys have known every single time you have a quiz or a test. So there's no reason for you guys not to be studying or coming to me before or after school to ask me questions, correct?
Is this grade like a 20% or 80%?
Oh, this is 80%.
Okay. I wanna know.
Good. Oh, no. There's 28 months worth, or 28 months worth. Yeah. Guys, if you always wonder what your grade is, and I write like a 28 over 40, just take 28 divided by 40 and that's your grade.
You can
Right.
take what you got right and multiply by 5. 20 on mine, right? Are you talking about on mine?
Yeah. Well, whenever I write your grades, I always do like what you got, like the number right out of however much it was worth. Just take the top number divided by the bottom. There you go. Alright guys, listen up. Listen up. Pass your quizzes to the front. Tomorrow. We did not get to it today. Tomorrow we'll be starting off with Manifest Destiny and starting chapter 9. Alright, that's Western expansion. It's going to come pretty fast. Guys, listen up. Moving forward, it's going to go pretty fast. We have Western expansion, and then right after that we go straight to Civil War. That unit is not very long. Alright? As you can see, we only have 22 days until the end. Civil War is going to be quite content hefty. Alright? So make sure you guys are coming to me if you have any questions. Have a good day, make sure I get your quizzes.
Hey. You should hate shit.
Let me find your actual sheet.
I think I might have said